So it's been a long time since I've done one of these videos, but I finally got back onto Disneyland's Facebook page and looking at some of those 1-star reviews that people left so I can offer some suggestions on how you can avoid having these same issues. Now again, before we get into it, just as a reminder that people know I am not making fun of these people whatsoever. I understand these people are legitimately upset and that they had a lot of concerns and felt that their vacation was kind of cheated in a little way. I'm just offering some suggestions so that you don't run into the same problems that they did. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get started. This is just a snippet from a much longer post, but essentially it's a mother whose young daughter got a really high temperature, like above 103 degrees, shortly before they got into the park at Disneyland. Or maybe it was after they got it through the gates. I'm not really sure, they kept changing their story. We never made it inside the park due to my daughter's condition. The guy at City Hall accused my husband of trying to get a fake refund and stay in the park, even though at the time I was on the phone with Kaiser Permanente, the medical company there, getting directed to the nearest facility for emergency care to take my daughter to urgent care, and I was standing in the shade. It was ridiculous to carry my daughter in the sun, and we wasted an hour of time dealing with this ordeal as my daughter's temp went up. Their major problem is that they had purchased their tickets, sounds like a one-day ticket, got inside the park, and then wanted to get a refund because they realized they had to turn right around and leave. Unfortunately, and this is a big unfortunately, if you have used your tickets to get into the park, you can't get a refund for them. They've been used. So unfortunately their hands were kind of tied. There's really nothing else you can say, so to get upset at Disney saying, but we have to turn around and leave, they're just gonna say, unfortunately you're inside the park. And yes, City Hall is inside the park. Once you come through those gates, you are inside the park. Now, if you are in the same situation where some emergency comes up before you've entered the park, you don't have to feel like you must get inside the gates to get help. There are actually guest relation windows in the entry plaza outside the gates, and you can even go up to the guest ticket booths to get some help as well. So don't go inside the parks if an emergency comes up and you want to try and get a refund on your tickets, because once you use them, there's nothing more they can do. Worst of any Disney park I've visited. Longest lines and overcrowding is an injustice to the high-paying customer. Fast passes are the same as a societal caste system and degrading to the notion of America. Only decent feedback was the food was good, rides also good, but not worth the multi-hour waits. Okay, so I'm just gonna assume that you've never visited Walt Disney World because their wait times are routinely longer than those at Disneyland. It's not like they're always a ton longer, but they are. And I'm really confused about the Fast Pass and the societal caste system thing. I'm guessing that they're referring to the Max Pass, but understand that if you pay for the Max Pass, you're not paying to get a priority access to Fast Passes. You're paying to be able to get Fast Passes digitally without having to travel across the parks to get Fast Passes. People who buy the Max Pass get their Fast Passes from one pool of tickets, and people who don't buy the Max Pass get their Fast Passes from another pool. They are not the same thing, so the Max Pass is not really taking Fast Passes away from the normal crowd. So it's not really a caste system. It's a matter of, do you want to spend the money on it, or don't you? Either way, you have access to Fast Passes. We took my friend and her 2 daughters to Disneyland. They are from New Zealand. They loved it. Not so much for me. It was hot and humid, the lines for the rides were insanely long, and it was crowded. Spent $31 on lunch for 2 people. I find this one a little bit funny for a couple of reasons. Number one, they traveled with a few other people who did have a great time, but this person decided that they didn't have a good time, which is odd. And also, they are blaming Disneyland for the weather in Southern California. It's August in California. It's going to be hot and humid. I was just there in August, and it's hot and humid. But that's not Disney's fault, that's just the weather, they can't control it. And then spending $31 on lunch for 2 people, yeah, you can easily do that at Disneyland, but you can just as easily spend half that much. We've had plenty of times where we've spent between $15 and $20 on lunch for 2 people. You have to sometimes look around and see what the prices are, which you can actually look on the Disneyland mobile app. It gives you all the prices. And also, one thing I do to save money is I tend to not buy beverages. I will just stick with water, or I'll bring my own beverages into the park. My kids are teens, but I was really disappointed to hear Pluto, Goofy, and the Stormtroopers tell 4 to 9-year-olds that they couldn't stop to talk to them, let alone take a photo. Stormtroopers said they were on patrol, didn't hear what Pluto's excuse was, and Goofy's bodyguard said Goofy had to go do homework. This just shows that they probably didn't understand how character interactions work at Disneyland. There are some characters, such as the Stormtroopers, that are actually not permitted to stop. And the reason that is because huge crowds will gather around them and block pathways. I saw the Stormtroopers stop once for just a couple minutes, and you almost couldn't get around because there were so many people crowding them in. And so they're not allowed to stop. You are still able to take pictures with them or of them, but they can't stop. For the other characters, such as Pluto and Goofy, they're not out there permanently. They're only out there for certain periods of time. And at some point, there has to be a, look, actually, unfortunately, they have to leave. It's for a variety of different reasons, but it's never because they're just mean and they don't want to meet you. It can certainly get frustrating. That I understand, but it's just the way it goes. Again, you look at the Disneyland mobile app, it will actually give you approximate schedules of when each of the characters are supposed to be where, so that you can get there when they first arrive, or if you can just hurry and check and see, oh, actually these characters are about to leave. I like looking at the stories that you guys share in the comments in these videos to kind of show how things can go really, really wrong on a vacation, but that doesn't have to ruin the entire thing. This one comes from Paula L, and she said, don't demand things, and cast members are likely to help you out. On one of our trips to DCA, we opted for a World of Color dining package lunch. The service was incredibly slow. It took over an hour to get our main course. There were apparently multiple problems that led to our meal being delayed. We started to get a bit antsy as we felt our time for rides was being eaten up by waiting for food, and my sister-in-law is diabetic and really needed to eat. We, however, did not get angry with our server. He came back to apologize and ask which rides we're going to go on. We told him, and then he came back with special passes for us to use on those rides. It was still taking a long time for our meal, and the manager ended up coming over and said they were covering the cost of the meal, we just had to pay for the alcohol. This was way more than we ever expected, and I truly believe it was because we weren't demanding that they do something for us. I think that that is an excellent point, Paula. Don't demand things from the cast members, and they really are likely to help you out. Things bad happen to me all the time, and sometimes I do run into kind of not the nicest cast members, but I don't let that ruin my entire experience. And if something really bad does happen and it isn't fixed like that, then the most constructive thing to really do is to talk to a guest relations window. You can talk to the guest relation kiosks inside the parks, at like City Hall, or guest relations at California Adventure, or even at the booths they have outside the park gates, and let them know. Because they're definitely gonna hear what you have to say, and it could lead to something, maybe a policy change. Maybe they're gonna be able to do something to help you out and make up for what happened. Facebook's probably not the best place to go, because I guarantee they probably don't read them. I wouldn't if I got that many reviews in a single day. You can't go through them all. So that's what we got for this installment of all this. Go ahead and keep sharing your stories. I love seeing these stories, and I think they're really, really helpful for other people who are watching them. Hopefully it's not going to take so long before we do this next one, as I know you guys really appreciate it. And hopefully you guys are just going out there to Disneyland and having a fantastic time. So that's what we've got for this week. Keep leaving those comments, including other suggestions you have for future videos. There's a whole lot in the works. It's just been a crazy summer with a lot going on, so I have a lot more that I still have to share with you guys in the coming weeks. In the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe for more. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more updates and tips that we have to share for you on a regular basis. And we will see you next week. All right, bye.